Darth Bane was an immensely powerful Sith Lord born in 1026 BBY and is credited with creating the Rule of Two, which was a Sith philosophy that limited the number of active Sith to only 2 at a time. Even 1,000 years after Bane's death, his Rule of Two would still be active, as even Grandmaster Yoda mentions Bane's rule at Qui-Gon Jinn's funeral in The Phantom Menace. Yoda states that for the Sith, there could be a master and an apprentice, no more, no less. In the Legends book, Star Wars, Jedi vs. Sith, The Essential Guide to the Force, Darth Bane's life and the reason he created the Rule of Two is shown in amazing detail. Let's get right into it. I am not a man of words, but I truly respect the power of words, for that is what transformed me. The words of the Sith Code. Other people have heard them, contemplated them, and so on, but I understood them, and they changed me. For what was I before I heard those words? Nothing. I was absolutely nothing. Just another miner on Alpatros, just a target for my father's rage. My name was Dessel, but because my father regarded me as the bane of his existence, he called me Bane. I was 18 years of age when he last unleashed himself on me. He broke my nose, and knocked out 2 teeth, and blackened both of my eyes, and even cracked my ribs. I took it all without a word, all of the pain. Only after he had passed out in a drunken state did I have the strength to wish him dead, and then I passed out myself. I awoke to find my wish had come true. The authorities ruled it a natural death, a heart attack. I did not realize it at the time, but my wish had been granted by the power of the dark side, by the way of darkness within myself. For then, I did not know the power of the dark side, and barely knew of the Force. I did not have the knowledge, I did not have those words, but I did have the power. I was 23, working as a miner on Alpatros, when one night, I fell into a card game with spacers at a cantina. They talked of the war between the Jedi and the Sith, the Jedi General Hoth against the Brotherhood of Darkness. I had already heard plenty of wild tales of Jedi performing extraordinary feats through the mystical power of the Force. At the time, I figured they were legend and myth, or at least exaggerations. Granted, I had had premonitions in my youth, visions that came true, so I knew there were powers that transcended the physical world, but the stories of what Jedi could do seemed too impossible to believe. Listening to those spacers, I wasn't convinced that the Sith were monsters. Bad things happen on both sides during any war. As far as I knew, the Sith were people, just like you and me, and I didn't go along with the Jedi belief that all beings are created equal. After all, some beings are smarter or stronger than others, and for all that Jedi talk about helping those in need, it didn't change the fact that a Jedi had never saved me from any injustice. That same night, I played sabacc with a Republic ensign who turned out to be a bad loser. When I left the cantina, that ensign and 2 naval soldiers attacked me. It was dark, so dark that I could barely see a thing, but I somehow saw the vibroblade coming at me. I saw it clearly, as if it glowed with an inner fire. I knew this was strange, because vibroblades don't emit light. It was the ensign who was holding the weapon. I grabbed his wrist and forced the blade straight into his chest. The 2 soldiers fled. I knew that they were going to report me to the authorities, that it would be their word against mine, and that no one would believe that I acted in self-defense. I had no interest in going to prison. I left Alpatros immediately and joined the Brotherhood of Darkness. When I first arrived, I started off as a Sith trooper with the Gloomwalkers unit. I first saw action on Kashyyyk and was promoted to sergeant after we conquered the planet. On Kashyyyk, and later on Trandosha and Fasira, I became more and more aware of my special abilities that enabled me to survive against apparently impossible odds, but I did not know the source of these abilities. I also became aware that my superior officer was a coward and a fool. After a full year of service, my talents came to the attention of the leaders of the Brotherhood of Darkness, and I was transferred to the Sith Academy on Korriban to learn the ways of the Sith. It was there that I first learned that the Sith, just like the Jedi, also drew power from the Force, and that it was this power that had sustained me through so many battles. Many students took new names for themselves on Korriban, leaving their old lives and identities behind. I took what once had made me weak and used it to make myself strong. I took the name Bane. At the Sith Academy, I learned the code of the Sith. Other people may have spoken the words with conviction, but I found meaning in them that others could not even imagine. At times, I believed the words were meant for me alone. Eventually, my belief would prove valid. When I wasn't learning from the masters and training with weapons, I visited what passed for the Sith archives. Housed in a crumbling temple, the Jedi had long ago eradicated many teaching tools of the dark side, which meant the library was now limited to scrolls, tomes, and manuals. I spent several hours each day studying these records. I found them truly fascinating, and felt that the ancient knowledge would be the key to unlocking my full potential. Through these actions and works, my understanding of the Force and the dark side took shape. Khan, the founder of the Brotherhood of Darkness, believed that strength lay in numbers, but as our war against the Jedi continued, my studies led to the conclusion that the Brotherhood, having amassed an army of thousands, had thinned the power of the dark side, while Khan, hoping to heighten morale and increase solidarity, conferred the title of Dark Lord to all the Sith Masters. I was the only one who protested. These so-called Lords of the Sith could no more be equals than the billions of beings whom the Jedi were unable to protect. Because the title of Dark Lord had been trivialized, I proclaimed myself Darth Bane. At the time, I had been told that the Darth title was no longer used because it promoted rivalry among the Sith and gave the Jedi an easy target. Obviously, Khan and his minions were all cowards, and so I gave Lord Khan a detailed description of one of the most fearsome creations of the ancient Sith, the Thought Bomb, a ritual that would unleash the pure destructive energy of the dark side to consume all Force users within a wide radius, trapping their energy within an ovoid shell. I gave instructions for the Thought Bomb to Khan because I knew he would eventually use it against the Jedi, even though it would also mean an end to the Brotherhood. Aided by his fellow lords, Khan created and detonated the Thought Bomb at the final battle of Ruusan. I was the only Sith to survive the cataclysm, but not the only Force user. Zana was a young girl, one of the many children whom the Jedi had brought to Ruusan in their last desperate efforts to vanquish the Sith. She would become my apprentice, Darth Zana. The power of the dark side cannot be dispersed among the masses. It must be concentrated in the few who are worthy of the honor. The Sith must be ruled by a single leader, the very embodiment of the strength and power of the dark side of the Force. If the leader grows weak, another must rise to seize the mantle. To serve this one true Sith Master, there can only be one true apprentice. Two there should be, no more, no less. One to embody the power, the other to crave it. The Rule of Two. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video and learned something new, please like and subscribe. And remember, the Force will be with you, always.